Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar this evening. Thanks so much for joining. First of all, I just wanted to check that everybody can hear me okay and can see my webcam right now. If you could just chat to me and say whether or not you can hear and see me, that would be fantastic. Also, just wanted to check that you can see my slides right now. So you should see a screen that says how to become a teaching assistant in the UK. If I could just get some feedback about whether or not that's working, that would be amazing. Thank you. Awesome, cool. Well, just found out that everybody can hear and see me, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much for confirming that. So the idea behind these webinars that we're hosting right now is that we wanted to really create a series of webinars that were really short and sharp and just bite-sized introductions to various topics. So this particular one will be all around teaching assistant work and education support work. So hopefully it's helpful. I'm sure that the people that have signed up to this webinar, you might be coming from a variety of backgrounds. Some of you might have worked as a teaching assistant before in the past. Others of you might be quite new to teaching assistant work, but perhaps have childcare experience and things like that in the past. So hopefully, regardless of your experience level, you do draw some value from tonight's session. We're going to try and keep it short and sharp to sort of the 30-minute mark. So you can go and enjoy your evening afterwards as well. First things first, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name's Shannon and I am currently based in Auckland. I work for ANZUK as a global opportunities consultant. So my role with them is to make sure that educators from New Zealand or Australia that are interested in heading over to the UK feel really well prepared and just providing opportunities within education for Kiwis and Aussies basically that are hoping to make the move and start the adventure over there. A little bit about my background. Before working for ANZ UK in New Zealand, I worked for them over in Melbourne as well, and I was an education consultant over there, which was incredible. Loved working and living in Melbourne. And before that, I worked in London as a teaching assistant and cover supervisor for ANZ UK. So yeah, it seems crazy, but I've worked now in 3 different countries with the company, so I feel like I know them pretty well, and it's awesome that I guess that ANZ UK has that global reach, and I've certainly felt really well supported in terms of finding work in those locations. In terms of teaching assistants play such an important role in the UK education system. They really become really valuable mentors to students, and you can develop incredible bonds and really make a difference in students' lives. So it's certainly really valuable work and rewarding work to go into. And yeah, I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what it might be like to work in UK schools. So first things first, the things that we'll be covering tonight are, we'll firstly be covering types of work available. So we will be discussing the difference between teaching assistant work and cover supervisor work. Firstly, there's 2 very distinct roles in the UK under the umbrella of education support. We'll then be talking about the qualities required to really excel in education support, and then we'll go through some requirements to work with young people. and obviously we have high standards in terms of child safety, and that would be our main focus. So there are a few documents and things that we will require you to obtain before working with young people. And then we'll go through a little bit of a day in the life. So I'll just share some reflections from when I was a teaching assistant and a breakdown of what a typical day might look like. And then just the registration process. So how to register with ANZUK, and I'll try to outline the exact process that you go through when signing up and starting your adventure with us. So first things first, yeah, so I've kind of covered it already, but just who are we? So we are a global education recruitment agency. We have offices in Australia, in the UK. We trade as Scoot over in the USA, and we trade as EP Education, we're called, in New Zealand. So we do have a number of opportunities available globally, and we really aim to make that process of traveling and exploring different countries as easy as possible for our educators. A number of the people that work in the office with ANZUK have taught or worked in schools on the other side of things as well. So yeah, we just try to make that process as easy as possible, and we all sort of understand the value that you can get from going overseas and exploring a new curriculum and a new sector. So just going back to the two types of work that we have available. Firstly, we have teaching assistant work, and we also have cover supervisor work. So these are the two roles we have available for people who are really interested in working with young people and who have all of the interpersonal skills required, but might not necessarily have a formal teaching qualification. So I'll just dig a little bit deeper into what each of these roles entail now. So firstly, we have the teaching assistant role, and in this position, your main function is to assist the main classroom teacher to ensure that the lesson runs smoothly. And so within this role, you'll be working one-on-one with students that might require a bit of extra assistance within the classroom. Sometimes these students might have additional learning needs, require a little bit of extra support. Perhaps they have special educational needs, or perhaps low levels of English language and might need a bit of support in ESL support. So yeah, you'll be working one-on-one generally with students or with a range of students. You'll be assisting with things like behaviour management and just helping that main classroom teacher to make sure that the lesson runs really smoothly and that everybody stays on track and engaged and motivated and supported throughout that day. You might be doing things like assisting with marking, you might be handing out worksheets, you might be supervising during break times. You'll always get your own break yourself, but you might be responsible for sort of yard duty and that kind of things, overseeing some break time, and perhaps running group work with students. And basically you are you're employed to make sure that the lesson runs smoothly and everything goes to plan, and you can actually through that process develop really wonderful and bonds with the students that you're working with, and you'll often become a really valuable mentor. So that's teaching assistant work. And in terms of, sorry, I just had some questions coming through. Perfect. Sorry, that was just people replying to me before. I couldn't see those before, sorry. In terms of the other role we have available is cover supervisor work. Now this one is a little bit different in the sense that we don't have a role like this in New Zealand or in Australia, but essentially you're working as a cover supervisor, you're working as an unqualified relief teacher. So you are essentially the responsible adult in the room, and you are responsible for facilitating a lesson plan that has been left for you by the main teacher. So perhaps that main teacher is off sick that day, and they have done all the planning prior, and so they'll give that to you, and you'll be responsible for facilitating that lesson. Your duties in this role is ensuring that everybody stays on track, once again, behaviour management, and making sure everybody feels supported and that lesson can still go ahead even though their regular teacher will be away that day. You might also be doing some supervision during break times as well, during cover supervisor work. Generally, cover supervisors qualities that would make you an excellent cover supervisor are things like confidence, your public speaking ability. Often people that have had experience doing summer camp work in the past, or tutoring or coaching, really excel in that cover supervisor position as well. When I was over in the UK, I did a mixture of teaching assistant work and cover supervisor work, and I enjoyed both for different reasons. It was nice to have the option of doing both and to really try it out and see what was a better fit for me. I personally really enjoyed doing cover supervisor work because I really enjoyed the opportunity to see what it was like to actually facilitate a lesson, and to see whether or not, I might be interested in doing my teacher training down the line, and yeah, to just really give it a go. So those are the two types of work that we have available, and as I say, you can definitely do a mixture of both if you sign up with us casually. In terms of cover supervisor work, that's specific to a secondary setting. We don't have any cover supervisor work in primary settings. If you are going to be working in primary schools, you will be working as a teaching assistant. There'll always be another teacher in the room with the younger years. So just to go into some of the benefits of teaching assistant work or cover supervisor work. So I touched on it before, but it genuinely is very rewarding to see children's progress and to feel the breakthroughs that student might be having with whatever topic you're working on for that particular day. I certainly found it to be incredibly rewarding. If you're working with a student one-on-one that might perhaps have behavioural concerns, or perhaps feels excluded from the lesson for some reason, you can really see the impact that you have when you really take the time to get to know that student. And yeah, I think back to some particular students that I worked with that I felt so proud when I saw them progress. So can be incredibly rewarding to feel that impact that you're having on the lives of young people. It's also incredibly flexible work. If you are signing up to work casually with us, it can be really flexible work. We actually use an app called Ready to Work, and it's basically an app-based management of your schedule. So you'll have a calendar that will come up on your app, and you can just plug in the days that you're available for that week, and then we'll try as best as possible to support you with work on those days that you are available. So the beauty of that is that if say you want to take a long weekend and head off on a trip to Brighton or away to explore the UK or Europe in some way, you can just block off Friday and take a long weekend as and when you please. So that flexibility can be really valuable. Equally, if you are somebody that is more set on really obtaining a contract and working at one particular school full time for an extended period, then we do have contracts available as well. And if you just let us know that is your preference, we can certainly start looking for contracts for you now, and in line with when each new term begins, basically. Also, the beauty of casual work is that it can actually lead to contracts down the line as well. The networking that you do with a particular school can be really powerful, and whilst it gives you the opportunity to try out a wide range of settings and find one that's a really good fit for you culturally, it also means that a number of schools will be able to get to know you. And often what happens is you'll be placed at a school for a particular day, and then the next day or later that week we'll get a call and they'll say, hey, this person actually did an amazing job, we were really impressed, and we'd really like to take them on for the whole term if they're interested. And we can sort of present that information to you as and when we find that out. So casual work can lead to a lot of contract work down the line, but equally some people might be more keen to head over to the UK with the intention of taking quite a few holidays and long weekends and things like that, in which case you can sign up for casual work for for the duration of the time that you're over there, if that suits you. One cool thing is as well with that Ready to Work app and with the ongoing support that we give with consultants is that we can really build a preferred list of local schools that you want to go back to. And yeah, I guess we really pride ourselves on matching you with a particular consultant that will be supporting you when you are over in the UK, and they will be your go-to person. So if you've had an amazing day at a particular school, you can just let your consultant know, and then they will prioritize you for work at that particular school as and when bookings come up in the future. So it means that you can really build consistency and you know, get to know your local schools. Equally, if you have a day that is more challenging, or you found that you didn't really enjoy that so much, you can also let us know, and we're really open to that kind of feedback as well. You know, we'd never want you to be in a position where you didn't feel comfortable, or if a setting wasn't quite right for you. So we really try our best to have that ongoing open communication, and we just always would want you to feel confident to share how your day's been and make sure that we can best support you, really. And we also have a fantastic community at ANZUK, and we really want to make sure that all of our educators feel as if they're a part of our social community, because it is really special. We run a series of class of events in line with each new school term as it begins, and basically that's a chance for you to connect with all other New Zealand or Australian based educators that are moving over to the UK at the same time as you. And we hold social events, we hold scavenger hunts around London, pub quizzes, yeah, you name it, lots of events like that. And it means that you can really get to know a group of people when you first arrive. I know it can be daunting when you arrive in a new country, particularly if you don't know many people, but we find that even after just attending one of these events, often people have found housemates through that, or they've found a real community of educators through that. So that's something to certainly check out. And if you want to join our social media pages, please let me know, and I'll add you to those groups as well if you are heading over. But yeah, another thing is, I just touched on it before, but just the global reach that we do have, and the fact that, you know, whilst we might be talking about UK opportunities right now, perhaps, you know, that experience that you gain when you head over to the UK will look really beneficial and valuable on your CV for when you do return home. So in terms of requirements, there are a few requirements, as I say, needed to work and over in the UK in schools. However, there is actually no set educational requirement for teaching assistants. And instead, these roles are generally hired based on values, on childcare experience in the past, and on a set of really strong interpersonal skills. So things that we look for and qualities that we find really help educators to excel in these positions is having enthusiasm, having a active imagination, having a lot of energy, patience, flexibility, and compassion. You're working with young people, so as I'm sure you can imagine, the more enthusiasm and the more imagination that you can bring to that experience is really, really valued. And flexibility is another one to really emphasize, because particularly in a teaching assistant role, your role is really to help that main teacher and to make sure that they feel supported. So your day-to-day might be quite varied, but just being open to put your hand up and say, yep, actually I'll help out with that, or sure, I can work with a range of different students that have very different needs. Yeah, so that flexibility is always something that we really look for. In terms of putting yourself in the best position to attain, for example, if you wanted a contract in the UK, or even just day-to-day casual work, making sure that your CV really outlines all of that childcare experience that you've had in the past is going to be really, really helpful for us to put you forward to schools, and for schools to really want you to come in and have a go at teaching at their school. So as I said before, tutoring, coaching, any subjects, school subjects that you felt that you really excelled please let us know and just make sure that that's definitely clearly highlighted on your CV. We'll put you in the best position of working consistently and of maybe obtaining a contract if you're into that as well. So in terms of documentation and things that we require, there are a couple of documents required to ensure child safety. One of those is the DBS check. This is like your working with children's check is what it's called in Melbourne. Basically just a safeguarding check to make sure that you are safe to be working with young people. Another thing that we will require is a police check. And that's a pretty straightforward process to get that as well, and we will certainly support you through that. You will receive an email from one of our UK compliance teams if you have decided that you do want to make the move over, and we will start arranging those police checks about 1 month before your departure. So you've got plenty of time. Just make sure, another thing to note is that these checks do actually become redundant if applied for too early. So just sit tight and wait for an email from our compliance team if you have suggested that you are definitely going to be heading over to the UK, and we can make sure that those documents are, easy to acquire. So that process is pretty straightforward. We will also require some reference checks from you. We will require reference checks from you to cover the past 2 years. So we will require names, professional email addresses, and phone numbers of any employment that you've had over the past 2 years. If there's an employment gap of greater than 3 months, we'll also perhaps require a character reference, but we can cross that bridge as and when we get to it. And so I spoke about it briefly before, but our Ready to Work app is an amazing piece of technology, and it really does help us to work in around your schedule and to basically support you with work on the days that you are available. I used to, when I was living over in the UK, I was working in the performing arts as well as teaching assistant, so it was really great for me because if I had an audition or something, I could just block out that I wasn't available on that particular day. And yeah, I found that really suited me very well. So in terms of using Ready to Work, we just ask that you jump on the app at 6:30 in the morning on the day that you are available to work, and you just press a button that says, yep, I'm up and ready to work. Then that actually sends a signal to all of the consultants that are assigning work for that particular day, and then you just sit tight and wait for a call from one of your consultants who will offer you a shift for the day. Once they offer you that shift, you can talk to them a little bit about what you might be covering, and then you can accept or deny that shift. If you accept the shift, you'll then be sent details about where to go, what the hours are for that particular shift, and if you have to bring anything, unlikely, but perhaps maybe you might be covering PE, so to bring sneakers or something like that perhaps. And yeah, then you just set off on your day and arrive at the school. We will also, obviously, as and when work comes up in advance, we'll certainly let you know if we do get any bookings coming in advance and pre-book people as much as possible. But yeah, that's basically how to use the Ready to Work app. In terms of the UK term dates, currently we are preparing educators for to head over and start for that September start, which is actually the start of the UK school year. So that can be, so the beauty of, I guess, working over in the UK is that you actually never go more than 6 weeks without some kind of break, which is fantastic for teachers and teaching assistants. So there's 3 terms in the UK: the autumn term, the spring term, and the summer term. And so I suppose most educators that head over would sort of have a think about those terms, because if you arrive at the start of one of those terms, it puts you in the best position of securing a contract if you'd like to, or just finding work during school time rather than on the school holidays, for example. Cool. So yeah, just the best time to arrive would be start of the term, so September, January, or April. But if you have other travel plans to work around, then we can definitely work around you. And particularly if you want to sign up to work casually, we can sort of do that at any point throughout the year. Just keep in mind the fact that, you know, school holidays do come about as well. And the other thing is, if you are really interested in getting involved with our social communities, those events run in line with those terms as well. So you might want to join on, you know, the September, the January, or the April intake as well. In terms of the ANZUK screening and interview process, so initially you will receive a call with one of our Australian or New Zealand based consultants, and some of you might have already chatted to myself or one of the team, just to hear about your preferences and to make sure that we know exactly what you're looking for work-wise. You'll then be introduced to a UK based consultant who will give you a better idea into how things are actually looking in that particular geography that you're going to. So we have offices in London, Surrey, Bristol and Wales, and whilst we're all the same company, there's slightly different differences to how things are managed in each of those offices work-wise. We will then go through your documentation, as I said before, your visa, your police checks, everything like that. If you were somebody that wanted to be put forward for contract roles, sometimes there will be Skype interviews and that sort of thing prior to your departure. You'll then meet with your consultant in the UK and have an informal interview where you can just really chat about what you're looking for and make sure that that you feel completely supported and they can explain the work that's available in your current area. And then you'll basically start teaching and start working in UK schools. So we try to make that process as smooth as possible and to make sure that you feel really supported throughout that. In terms of a little day in the life situation of, I guess, to share my experiences when I was teaching, being a teaching assistant, I guess a typical day is, as I said, you'd log onto the app at 6:30 in the morning. You'd press, yep, I'm up and ready to work. You'd then wait and receive a phone call from your consultant who would say, hey, we've got a shift for you today at Queen's Park High School. You'll be working as a cover supervisor that day, and the shift begins at 8:30 and it'll take you 20 minutes to get there, for example. So then I guess you'd head off on the tube or head off on public transport to that shift, or perhaps you have a car, but public transport is amazing in the UK, so I never really needed one when I was over there. And you'll arrive at the school, make yourself known to the receptionist there, and you'll have a key contact on your confirmation of shift as well. It's often the assistant principal or the daily officer for that school. And yeah, just say that you're from ANZUK. Always bring your ANZUK lanyard with you and your DBS check with you as well, because sometimes you will be checked for that before entering the school. You'll then be given an overview of what you might be covering for that day. If you're working as a teaching assistant, you might be working in one particular class for the whole day and perhaps supporting the same student for the whole day. As I said before, it might be a student that has additional learning needs, perhaps a student that has dyslexia or something like that who needs a little bit of extra support in the classroom. Or if you're working as a cover supervisor, you'll probably be given a timetable of the classes that you'll be covering for that particular day and the room allocations for each of those classes. And then I suppose you'll head to your first classroom, and yeah, I guess it's a bit different if you're TA or cover supervisor, but if you are a cover supervisor, you'll obviously introduce yourself to the class and begin facilitating that lesson that's been left for you from the main teacher. Then at the end of the day, you will go back to the reception and hand in if you've been given any keys or laptops or anything like that. And yeah, just I guess thank them and give a reflection of your day. And yeah, and that's what a typical day would sort of look like. You're generally working in with school hours, so a normal shift would be about 6 hours of work. And yeah, so I guess now I guess it would be just to join our social community if you haven't already. like us on Instagram or join our Facebook. And if you are somebody that is interested in heading over to the UK this year or next year, then certainly I'll invite you to join our Class of 2020 groups as well, because that's an amazing platform where people can discuss things like where to live and, you know, any upcoming trips that they might be planning, and it's just a real social space where you can connect with other like-minded people. So yeah, that's basically the end of our webinar today. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope that it's been helpful and has given you a bit of a brief overview as to what it might be like to work in UK schools. I personally found the experience of moving over to the UK and living in London to be probably the best thing I ever did personally. And you certainly grow a lot and meet a lot of amazing people, and you're on Europe's doorstep as well, so you certainly have amazing opportunities to explore. And yeah, I'd say, like, why not give it a go and explore for yourself and try it out. We have a series of upcoming events. We're hoping that these Educator Extras events will become regular things that people will tune into. So I believe our next one will be covering visas and a place to sort of chat about that and where we're at with updates regarding visas. Then we're also going to run a webinar on where to live, where we'll dive in a little bit deeper into areas of the UK, and we can all share as consultants our experiences of living in particular areas. And yeah, hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, if you could just chat them through now, that would be fantastic. I will follow up with everybody that's on this webinar as well, because it would be awesome to just chat to you personally and find out, you know, where you're at and whether or not I can answer any questions and that kind of thing. But yeah, for now, I might actually just launch a poll if people are still online. I just wanted to ask, just have you ever worked as a teaching assistant before? So I'll just launch that poll now. So we'll just wait a little bit and collect some responses from that. Perfect. So we've got quite a few responses so far. A lot of you haven't necessarily worked in teaching assistant roles before, which is awesome. So hopefully I gave you a little bit of an idea as to what it might be like. And I'm always here if any other questions do pop up. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I will be chatting to you all soon. Thank you.